Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. This is week 14. We're going to cover Exodus 6:2 through 9:35. And if you are interested in the end times, especially with a lot of the end times implications, realizing the book of Revelation mentions most of the plagues almost identically, and just realizing patterns repeat, and Our Heavenly Father foretold the end from the very beginning. So I feel like there's a lot to learn about the original Exodus story that helps us understand the rest. And there's a lot there in the prophets, the book of Isaiah. We'll be getting deep into that, Psalms, and a few others. And so there's going to be a kind of a focus on end times Egypt and a lot of the parallels. You can obviously tell by the thumbnail of kind of how I'm understanding the end times Egypt location, the world military power, the world strength. You see the religious and political kind of coming back together to form this what seems to be the latter or second beast, the two-horned beast, like that appears like a lamb, that speaks like a dragon, kind of forming before our eyes, that renews all of the power from the beast before it, which is Rome. Anyways, a lot to cover. Let's get your shofars if you have one ready. It's a spiritual weapon. Just blow it. Hallelujah. Children love it. Most pets love it. Walls love it. The enemy sometimes definitely does not love it. So anyways, let's kind of get right into it. We're going to pray. And in case you're new, we just read the Torah portion chapter by chapter. And then kind of I go over some of the things I'm led to kind of expand on. And then, look at like parallels in the New Testament, the prophets, just to kind of get a better understanding. Because I believe the Torah is the baseline. Messiah taught it. He didn't abolish it, and asks us or commands us to walk like Him. And so I'm just on a journey of trying to understand the Torah a lot better, and I want to obey it. That's just where I'm at. So that's our goal here, is to figure out exactly what He's asking of us, literally, spiritually, figuratively. All that. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, Most High, we just come before You, and we just thank You for Your Son dying on a cross for us, and thank You for the blood shed for us that we may be forgiven, and thank You for Your commandments that Messiah upheld and taught us to obey as well. And I just pray You to send Your Spirit that we may understand, and that we may be empowered to keep Your ways, and to be witnesses for Your glory. Thank You for the Sabbath, the rest, and just thank You for just being here and assembling with us. It's in Yahusha's mighty name. Amen. Hallelujah. All right. So Exodus 6, let's go, and then we'll talk about it.
Shemot, Exodus, chapter 6. Then Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land.
And Elohim spoke unto Moshe, and said unto him,
I am Yahuwah, and I appeared unto El Abraham, unto El Yitzhak, and unto El Yaakov, by El Shaddai. But by my name Yahuwah was I not known to them? And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groanings of the children of Yasharel, whom the Mitzrayim keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Yasharel, I am Yahuwah, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayim, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm, and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you Elohim. And ye shall know that I am Yahuwah Elohaikim, which brings you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayim. And I will bring you into the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov, and I will give it to you for a heritage. I am Yahuwah.
And Moshe spoke so unto the children of Yasharel, but they hearkened not unto Moshe, for anguish of the Ruach, and for cruel bondage. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, that he let the children of Yasharel go out of his land.
And Moshe spoke before Yahweh, saying, Behold, the children of Yasharel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe and unto El Ahron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Yasharel and unto Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Yasharel out of the land of Mitzrayim. These be the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yasharel, Chanok, and Palu, and Chetzron, and Carmi. These be the families of Reuben. And the sons of Shimon, Yemuel, and Yamin, and Ochad, and Yakin, and Tzochar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. These are the families of Shimon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations, Gershon, and Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Livni, and Shimei, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, and Yitzchar, and Hebron, and Uziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And the sons of Merari, Machli, and Mushi. These are the families of Levi, according to their generations. And Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, to be his woman. And she bore him Ahron and Moshe. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. And the sons of Yitzchar, Korach, and Nepheg, and Zikri. And the sons of Uziel, Mishael, and Elishaphan, and Chitrai. And Ahron took him Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nachshon, to be his woman. And she bore him Nadab, and Abihu, and Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korach, Asir, Elkanah, Avisaph. These are the families of the Korchai. And Eleazar, Ahron's son, took him one of the daughters of Putiel to be his woman, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers of the Leviim, according to their families. These are that Ahron and Moshe, to whom Yahweh said, Bring out the children of Yasharel from the land of Mitzrayim, according to their families. These are they which spoke to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, to bring out the children of Yasharel from Mitzrayim. These are that Moshe and Ahron. And it came to pass on the day when Yahweh spoke unto Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim, that Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
I am Yahuwah. Speak you unto Pharaoh king of Mitzrayim all that I say unto you.
And Moshe said before Yahweh, Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How shall Pharaoh hearken unto me?
Man. So the equivalent obviously is like, it's like if Yah came to one of us, Yahusha came to one of us, is like, hey, go up to the leader of all the countries right now and tell him, thus says Yahweh. Be like, why would he listen to me? It's like, I think most of us could relate. It's like, even just this Torah movement is so disbanded and so disjointed, and it's like, if we proclaim something, people will be like, okay, whatever, whatever you say, buddy. And so in a similar way, be like, your own people don't listen. Not everyone, of course, but in general, like widespread, there's no, unity in that way, which I hope, and we should pray that would change. But just imagine the setting, I guess, just for Moshe's shoulders, like, want me to go talk to him? All right. But anyways, obviously, if the master is before us, let's maybe do better than that and just say, okay, yes, sir. Couple things I wanted to share before we get into really the meat of the study. Looking over here, this is kind of interesting. It's literally it's talking about that Abraham only knew him by El Shaddai, which is the great I am, or Elohim, or the equivalent would be God, in English. But he's literally saying, my name, Yod He Vav He, I was not known to them. So that was literally revealed to Moses. And so you could make the argument and go back and be like, what are you talking about? Yod He Vav He is all over the place. But of course, this is being written from Moses' perspective, so it's like it's writing in history, and so he can write Yod He Vav He everywhere. But nevertheless, Elohim himself literally said that Abraham didn't know his name. And I find that kind of interesting for the end times because, obviously a lot of us love his name. There's a lot of scriptures that the name's important, right? I'll declare your name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise you. Literally, Messiah praying says, I have glorified you on the earth. I have finished the work which you gave to me to do. And now, O Father, glorify me with your own self, with the glory which I have had before the world was. And I have manifested your name unto the men which you gave me out of the world. And so I think it's interpreted here, right? And they have kept your word. Ultimately, the greater manifestation of his name is Torah. It's his laws, it's the statutes, it's the judicial precepts, it's the testimonies, the festivals, the dietary restrictions, the marital rule. Everything that guides life, when you walk in it, shows that he is the master. He's the boss, basically. And so, but nevertheless, the name, right? The name is important. I'm not going to diminish and say, we can just call him whatever, like we're not gonna just call him like Santa Claus, right? So there is something to his name and a distinction. But the point I want to honestly make though is it's like kind of what Paul alludes to here in Romans 4, talking about, he asked, "Did this blessedness then upon the circumcision only, or like the Jews only, or upon the Gentiles, the uncircumcision also? For we say that faith was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness. How was it then reckoned, when he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision." And so, like, the beginning of Abraham's faith was before circumcision. So there was like this progression. And in a similar way, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through the progression of just the knowledge given to Yah's people over time, obviously they knew more. The more was revealed through time, experience, through the fall, through restoration, through the written down prophets, the writings. More of Yah and his character and everything is revealed. And so in a similar way, Abraham's faith began before uncircumcision, before knowing his name. And so I guess the call here, if I can just get to the point, is that's the heart of Yah. It's revealed in Ezekiel that he wants everyone to come to repentance and to serve him. And so we should want that same thing. And so we shouldn't be so harsh and negative on people that only know the name Jesus or only the Lord or God, and recognize they're not cussing and they're not cursing. Don't let anybody lie to you. This is not witchcraft. This is not sorcery with, incantations and spells, and you have to, say, whatever they incantate. And so his name is not to be tossed around like it's some banner of righteousness, in that if you know the name, now you're covered, and this isn't it. So the point is that it's the heart of the Abraham, kind of progression. He progressed more and more and more, and as a whole, the seed of Abraham progresses more and more through time and through history. That's not always progression; they fall away. But the point is if all the recorded word of Yah, if we can learn through all of that, we can progress, and there has been a progression of that understanding. So then he received the sign of circumcision. Listen, a seal of the righteousness of faith. So not something that's bad and done away with, which he had yet being uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that the righteousness might be imputed to them also, and the father of circumcision to them who are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of faith of our father Abraham, which he had being yet uncircumcised. So it's basically talking about progression, and you see that here also in Acts 15, literally dealing with circumcision as well. And basically they're like kind of going back and forth, and it's Jews and Gentiles thing, and basically they're like, hey, listen, they're like, hey, they've got to start somewhere, right? And so we write to them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, fornication, from things strangled, and from blood. And we know that can't be it, because it doesn't talk about stealing. It doesn't talk about many other sins. This is like a starting point for some of the major sins that were going on in the pagan nations right around them. So they're like, okay, hang on. So they got to stop these four things, because listen, here's the Abraham progression. For Moses of old time has in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. So literally the point here is that they start somewhere. And Paul is even just saying, he's not undoing circumcision. He's just showing that it starts somewhere, just like Abraham. It was reckoned to Abraham for righteousness before he even received circumcision. And so we should look at Christians who at least just have that basic faith that, man, the world around them was created by a creator, and that he came and died on a cross, right? That's like, let's meet them there and show the truth. So anyways, I don't want to spend too long on this, because I want to get a lot more into the Egypt stuff and the end times Egypt stuff, but super necessary, I think, for Yah's people in these last times. And so, obviously, you have this sentiments of a rescue here, right? I've heard the groanings. So kind of the call last week was, hey, when are we going to start being like, hey, we're not okay with this system. We're not okay with this Babylonian system of death around us, that when someone is born into it, just everything. They're just jabbed with poisons, fed poisons, sold poisons. Everything's perpetually poisoned, taught poison. Just like the whole system's poison. And so at some point, we're not going to be okay with the status quo of this system of death, which we'll get into in a bit, just like Egypt was back in the day. So at some point, we're going to be like, we want your ways. We want your freedom, which is what the psalmist calls the law in many occasions, the commandments, is freedom. That's the real freedom. And so this is the love story, right? This is the rescue. And so it's going to happen again. This is the story in the latter days. I don't know why I have an ASB. So Ecclesiastes 1:9 says, the thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there's no new thing under the sun. So cycles repeat, and patterns repeat. That's the biblical way. And so here in Acts 2, of course, you have the giving of the Holy Spirit. You have this time where, boom, everything changes. And that's going to come again in our generation. It's coming. And it says here, and fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. It's coming again. And all that believed were together and had all things common. This is the goal. Literally, those who spent the most time with Messiah, as soon as all this came about, they're like, we need to be together. And that, I believe that call is going throughout the body. We need to be together. And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them all to all men as every man had need. I think this is the time. I really do. Then they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising Elohim, having favor with all the people. And the master added to the church daily as such as should be saved. And so consider when Messiah left into heaven, he left a gathered, tight-knit group of people that were following his ways everywhere he went. So Acts 1:11, which also said, you men of Galilee, why stand you gazing up to heaven? This same Yahusha, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you've seen him go into heaven. So he went in with a small, tight-knit group of people. I believe he's going to do the same thing. So I believe it's time to come together and come together as one, because I think that's his house, right? We're all individual stones. We're all individual temples. But when we come together in our hearts, but also literally and physically, that's why all this was happening, is so his people can come together. And that's the whole goal of the end times, is to come out of her and to be gathered. I don't know about you, but he's gonna be in Mount Zion. Where do you want to be? That's where I want to be. And so the hard part, of course, is that most people aren't listening. And we see that happen thousands of years ago, same today. So Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, but they hearkened not to Moshe. For why? For anguish of the spirit and for cruel bondage. The bondage is just changed. It's a spiritual and mental bondage, and physical in a lot of ways. I mean, some people are unrighteously thrown into the prison systems. That's slavery, and of course there's been recent slavery in the last couple hundred years, and then of course they have the debt system now, entrapping people. The slave, I mean, not a lot in America, but the slave labor, of course, all over in the third world countries. It's like this system that's feeding this beast, and it's death. And it's hard for people to listen, and that's what was going on then, and it's happening now. It says, and so consider, there's so much already happening on people's plates, that we should be a refreshing fountain of water rather than another drain that already, this whole world drains people. And that's what was going on then, and that's why people aren't listening now. It says, wherefore comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also you do. So it's so natural for Hebrews to tear one another apart. But it's like we're already getting it from every direction. Why should we also add to that mix? At some point, we're going to heal up that breach and stop attacking each other. Romans 14:19, let us therefore follow after the things which make for peace and the things which may edify another. Hebrews 3:13, but exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. Hebrews 10:24-25, let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. So this is what should be done. The setting is not always you're Elijah and your brother is Ahab. And I feel like that's how people always act. They use those few scenarios where there was probably some sternness, or like every interaction is not you and you're assuming the role of Yahusha flipping tables. Like those are like the few instances that had to happen. But like the norm, we should be here to provoke one another to love and good works. And then here, this is kind of my whole point, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, right? So we need to be getting together, but exhorting one another, and so much more as you see the day approaching. You're not going to be able to do it alone. So 1 Peter 2:5, this is that principle. You are also living stones built up a spiritual house. So like we're all individual blocks, and we come together to form this house. So he left this earth and went up to heaven in this tight-knit house. He's going to come back in the same way. This is the prophecy. And literally in a cloud, but sure. But what's he going to? He left his assembly, and he's coming back to his assembly. Naturally, he's going to have a regathering, but initially, he's gonna come somewhere. Okay, so let's go to. Let's see what I want to go here. All right, we have the. Yeah, so you got, of course, Moses is humble, but at some point, if the God of Israel, just a pro tip, not that I have experience, but I guess I'm also just looking at this, if the God of Israel is before you and telling you to go do something, because remember last week he got angry. He got angry at Moses because it was like, I'll send who you send, and it said his anger was kindled and he was wroth at Moses. So we can just quickly read past that because there's humility, and then there's just like straight up being a, I don't know, like a stubborn donkey. Like, I don't know. So at some point we've got to be yielding to the Spirit and what it's telling us to do. Maybe that's the parallel there, Adam. The Spirit gives us these nudges and whatnot, and so maybe we can be not so hard-headed. But yeah. Also, looks like Moses is dealing with some rejection issues, right? Because he's like, the Israelites won't listen to me. Why would Pharaoh? All right, so let's go to 7, because this is the meat of what I want to talk about with the end time stuff. So let's go to chapter 7. Exodus 7.
Shemot, Exodus, chapter 7. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
See, I have made you an Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aharon your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aharon your brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Yasharel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Mitzrayim, and bring forth my armies and my people, the children of Yasharel, out of the land of Mitzrayim, by great judgments. And the Mitzrayim shall know that I am Yahuwah, when I stretch forth my hand upon the Mitzrayim, and bring out the children of Yasharel from among them.
And Moshe and Aharon did as Yahweh commanded them. So did they. And Moshe was 80 years old, and Aharon 83 years old, when they spoke unto Pharaoh. And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe, and unto El Aharon, saying,
When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then you shall say unto El Aharon, Take your rod, and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent.
And Moshe and Aharon went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as Yahweh had commanded. And Aharon cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Mitzrayim. They also did in like manner with their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aharon's rod swallowed up their rods, and he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. Get you unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goes out unto the water. You shall stand by the river's brink, against he come. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shall you take in your hand. And you shall say unto him, Yahuwah Elohai of the Ivrim has sent me unto you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto you would not hear. Thus says Yahuwah, In this you shall know that I am Yahuwah. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in my hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Mitzrayim shall loathe the drink of the water of the river.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Say unto Aharon, Take your rod, and stretch out your hand upon the waters of Mitzrayim, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone.
And Moshe and Aharon did so, as Yahweh commanded, and he lifted up the rod, and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died. and the river stank, and the Mitzrayim could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians of Mitzrayim did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, neither did he hearken unto them, as Yahweh had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, neither did he set his heart to this also. And all the Mitzrayim dug round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. And 7 days were fulfilled after that Yahweh had smitten the river.
Man, so imagine all that chaos going on. Can you imagine all the water turning to blood instantly? But let's go back to the beginning here before we get too far ahead. So Yahweh says to Moshe, "See, I have made you a god, an Elohim to Pharaoh." And rightly so. Look, he's doing all these things. And of course, we learn that he's going to do a lot more. Unfortunately, Pharaoh doesn't hearken. But this is ultimately what is the destination of those who are humble. Messiah, of course, says, those who humble themselves shall be exalted. Psalm 25:9, the meek will he guide in judgment, the meek will he teach his way. Luke 17:10, so likewise, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants, we have done that which is our duty to do. So regardless of, hopefully Yah is doing some mighty things through you, but do you take credit for everything? Do you give him the glory? Are you boastful about it? Or are you meek? I mean, it could be anything. It could be he's maybe made you an excellent carpenter, and you do really well at it, or you're an artist or musician or whatever it may be. Take this to heart, that whatever he's given you is dispensed from him, and you should not take credit for it, but give praise to him, just like David did, all the victories, everything. Zechariah 12:8, in that day shall Yahweh defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them. So this is kind of the point I'm trying to make here. Kind of like Moses was seemingly feeble. He stuttered. He didn't speak well. He didn't have a lot of confidence. So he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And listen up, and the house of David shall be as Elohim, as the angel of Elohim before them. So what that's going to look like, ultimately, from my understanding there, is what 1 John 3 says, we don't know what shall be, but we know that when he appears, we shall be like him. And so what does that look like? Is that, glorified bodies? Is that like, wings? I mean, whatever, I don't know. I don't know the extent of that. But I read this reversal here of feeble to being strong like David, and the house of David shall be like Elohim. Like that's what the word of Yah says. And so Matthew 23:12 says, whoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. And consider that as man, it's our duty to humble ourselves before Elohim and submit ourselves to his yoke. That's a full understanding of how we can be humble, but also in our demeanor, how we converse, how we deal with one another, how we deal with tense situations, because most people can be cool, when things are relaxed. So also you have this kind of reversal here. Micah 5:7. This also has some clues to community being important. We read what happened in the book of Acts. He's going to come back that way. But consider, the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as dew from Yahweh, as the showers upon the grass, that tarries not for man, nor waits for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the nations, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep. So lions are known to be kings of the jungle, not because of sheer size or might or anything, or any one particular ability. There's much larger, stronger, faster animals, but it's their communal lifestyle that allows them to rise above the rest of the animals. And so I believe that when his people start doing this is that strengthening of where they start working together, and this is what synergizes, I guess, in the spiritual, of course, and this is how the God of Israel works. It says, who if he goes through both treads down, tears in pieces, and none can deliver. And so there's going to be this, and this actually just came after Micah 5:2 said that though they be little amongst the thousands of Judah, that's where the strength is going to come from, nevertheless. So those who are meek and humble in their ways, submit themselves to Yah, he's going to do that reversal. But, sorry. So, of course, last Torah portion, he's like, okay, whatever, Moses. Who makes man's mouth? Who makes the deaf and the blind? Have not I, right? And so can't he take any one of you, any one of us, to speak? I mean, Messiah said this, Luke 21:15, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. So, and he can give, and that was preceded by, hey, don't worry about when you need to speak that in that moment. And so, anyways, yeah. So we know that Egypt finally got it and knew that Yahweh existed. And in the end times, that's going to happen again. All nations will know again. It says, Isaiah 52:3, for thus says Yahweh, you have sold yourselves for nothing, and you shall be redeemed without money. For thus says Yahweh Elohim, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for nothing, and they that rule over them make them to howl. And this, consider this captivity is very sneaky to make people comfortable in their captivity, but nevertheless there's death, there's cancer, there's rape, there's kidnappings, there's adrenochrome, there's the medical system, there's all the systems, and there's plenty of howling, but it's met with comfortability and surface level religion that pacifies but kills. So says Yahweh, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that does speak. Behold, it is I. At some point in the future, the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. And consider, the greater sanctuary is his people coming together in harmony, in unity, declaring his name, keeping his ways. That's where he wants to dwell. Micah 7:11, in the day that your walls are to be built, in that day shall the decree be far removed. In that day also he shall come to you, even from Assyria, from the fortified cities. This is the second Exodus. From the fortress even to the river, and from sea to sea, and from mountain to mountain. Notwithstanding, the land shall be desolate because of them that dwell therein, for the fruit of their doings. So this can be said with the Mediterranean over there, that political state of Israel, which I believe will be wiped off the map. But also in a way, the daughter will be not fully destroyed, but will be made desolate. This country will be brought to its knees because of the fruit of their doings, especially with this veneer of following the God of Israel, especially this veneer of being disciples of Christ, which is the lead off of this country and will continue to be. But without keeping of the law, the Torah, the commandments, this is in vain, and it's wickedness. So feed your people with your rod, the flock of your heritage, which dwell solitarily or set apart in the wood or the forest in the midst of Carmel. Let them feed in Bashan and Gilead, as in the days of old. According to the days of your coming out of the land of Egypt, will I show unto many marvelous things. The nations shall see and be confounded at all their might. They shall lay their hand upon their mouth. Their ears shall be deaf. They shall lick the dust like a serpent. They shall move out of the holes like worms of the earth. And they shall be afraid of Yahweh Elohim and shall fear because of you. Why? Because all around them is going on another Egypt type of stuff. Like crazy stuff's going to happen. A lot of people are going to die. A lot of cattle are going to die. There's going to be lots of plagues. Fruit's going to be destroyed. Brother against brother. It's going to be like a total collapse. But the people that remain, they're going to be like, right? We'll get more into that here in a second. And so in the book of Revelation, where's the thing here I want to show here? I should have got a better vision or version of this. It's a little hazy, but this gives a little chart here where you have the 10 plagues of Egypt on Exodus over here on the left side, of course, and you'll see how it matches. What is it? 7 of them match up directly in Revelation. So the only thing that's not mentioned directly is the gnats or flies, and then pestilence. But there's definitely the allusion to it. So there's really only 2 quote unquote missing, and it has to do with gnats and flies. But anyways, nevertheless, you can't deny that there's so many patterns here. And so we'll read some of them, and then I want to kind of dig into the bigger picture, honestly, rather than just focus on these plagues that happen. Not that they're not important, but I want to talk more about the bigger picture of the end times. But here, Revelation 8:8 says, "And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood." So obvious things, we have the water turning into blood. And Yah is going to use people or 2 people or a group of people to do the same things. In Revelation 11, we see the 2 witnesses. While I believe symbolically that happened to the apostles and whatnot, and ultimately the beast overcame them and martyred them all and martyred all the saints to the extent that they took over the faith. So that was already played out, but we can't deny that there's going to be a probably greater manifestation of the witnesses in the end times that's going to call down fire and hail and all this stuff, which will be seeming like gods in front of Pharaoh, the world, but yet people are still going to reject it for whatever reason. But nevertheless, the very plain thing here is we have water turning into blood, just like we just read. And a third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, just like we saw in Egypt, like all the fish died and the river stank. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and as there was a great star falling from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the waters and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many died of the waters because they were made bitter. Maybe not the time to get into this, but very parabolic for tainting the waters, which are supposed to be the nourishment of the word of Yah, but when it's polluted, it becomes death. It becomes poisoned water, and that's what and ultimately is what I'm understanding there. Yeah, so actually, I actually ended up annotating that here. So Deuteronomy 29, this is the basis of what I just shared with you. Here's the Torah basis from that understanding. So it says, "Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before Yahweh Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day." So this is for successive and future generations, including us. We're eligible for this. "For you know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which you passed by, and have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them, lest there should be any among you, man or woman or family or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from Yahweh Elohim to go and serve the gods of these nations, lest there should be among you a root that bears gall and wormwood." So this is the basis for the interpretation of what I believe Revelation is spiritually implicating, but this is the basis for how we can apply that to be to have a much more deeper meaning than just something fell from up there and fell in waters and waters became poisoned. I mean, that may happen. I'm not mocking that at all, but I'm saying that a much deeper understanding of that is just that there's a turning away from the law. And in my opinion, you see many allusions to that, even in like Revelation 12, there's a very literal interpretation of this as Herod, the dragon going to kill the baby, right? But it was delivered. Messiah, all those things. But it says here, Satan, his tail, drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. What's interesting about this is if you do a further study of the stars of heaven, you can always conclude, even if you don't even use Enoch clearly just says that the stars are a parable for those who are in covenant with Yah and keep his ways. And so, in my opinion, this is just giving a very illustrated parallel to what Messiah shares in a much simpler parabolic form, that a sower went forth to sow, and a third of those seeds were taken up by Satan, right? By the birds. It says that, there was three different things that took the seed away. And so a third of that was Satan taking that and snatching what was in his heart. And so that's literally what's happening here, that his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, did cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. That's the same thing that the parable teaches us, that as soon as the seed was sown, the birds, right, came and ate them right up. And so I just want to share that Revelation has a lot, it's very parabolic, and it just tells it in a much more grand fashion. You got dragons and babies, and that's a much more illustrated version of the simpler seed version I was sharing with you. But let's go even deeper, because when I say deeper, this is not like some mysterious thing. Like, I'm just like further chewing on the meat of the word. So you have Moses and Aaron confronting them and meeting them where they're at, in showing the signs. They're like, because they did magic, and they could do the rods and the serpent thing. That's crazy, right? That they were able to do that. But that goes to show you that there is something to the dark side and the magic and the necromancy. But that's why Yah says stay away, not because it's just nothing to it. There is something to it. What we believe in shows that Egyptians were able to take a staff and throw it on the floor, and it turned into a snake. What is up? What's up with that, right? But even so, the God of Israel met them, and Moses is able to do that. But even more symbolically, right, Moses met Pharaoh in the river, which the river and the way Egypt's situated, with how the Nile is like the major trade route, and just the positioning of their land being coastal, having the Nile, that is what made them rich. And so Moses met them there at the very source that made them rich, and turned it into death. And it ended up stinking, which I think symbolically, it's like in the end times, Yahweh is going to expose Egypt's system of death, and it's going to be exposed to everyone. It's going to stink in front of their eyes. Once it's finally exposed that the system that they're a part of, come out of her, my people. It's a system of death. And even all the way, as I mentioned, how you've got, of course, child slave labor. You've got, third world extreme poverty being crushed by this country and others. You've got, of course, the tainted government system, the two wings of the same bird. You've got the corrupt medical system. You've got the corrupt education system, the corrupt financial system, and we're learning about the Federal Reserve and all these different things. But it's like, in my opinion, Christianity is even worse, because they've done what the Pharisees did, but they've raised the bar. Messiah told the Pharisees, "You're not going, and you're not going to heaven, and you don't even in the kingdom, and you even keep those who want to go in because of your doctrine." Why? Because they put aside the law of the Most High, and they basically added their own. That was his direct charge against them, Matthew 15. And so Christians have done this, or Christianity has moved into the same thing. Of course, Rome escorted it there in changes ways, subtle changes, Sabbath to Sunday, the feast observances to pagan, Christian mixed observances, and just really becoming more worldly and not set apart to Yah, getting rid of the food laws, getting rid of the identifying markers of being Yah's chosen people. And people, of course, are convinced for many different reasons that the law is not binding or part or anything beneficial, but literally the entire Bible says the opposite. A handful of scriptures from Paul, which, if you don't take Peter's warning in 2 Peter 3, can be used, especially isolated. They definitely look like they're speaking against the law. But this is not the time for that. But nevertheless, it's a system of death, because if man lives not by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yah does man live. And literally direct question, hey, master, how do I enter into eternal life? Hey, keep the commandments. So if people are taught to have the blood of the Lamb and are reborn through the Holy Spirit, baptism, but don't go through the door and through the path into the narrow way, they're literally thrown right into the water, into death. And so you have this perpetual system of death all over the world, cancer, all this stuff. Why? The Deuteronomy 28, it's not just for Yah's people, but anyone that breaks the law, it's a curse. And it's no doubt the curses are everywhere. There's still blessings. The earth, the sun still shines. The moon still does her thing. Nature still does her thing. But is creation not groaning? Especially in this country with crops. I mean, they have to literally make the crops unedible for bugs not to eat it. But then it's like, well, we'll eat it. Like, ugh. So the whole system is death. And it needs an entire restart. The head needs to be cut off. It needs to be thrown down. And Yah's entire system needs to be replaced. And that's the end times. But the enemy's smart. And that's why he's already got people fearing the reset. Fearing that there's going to be this collapse and a restart in a one world economic system that you're supposed to reject. And it's supposed to be the beast system. Wake up! We're in the beast system. This is the vampiric, satanic beast system. We've been in it for the last 2,000 years after the apostles died out. And the reset that's coming is Yahweh bringing this earth to its knees. Not because the Rothschilds. Are you kidding me? They want to keep this. They want to keep this going as long as they can. Yahweh is going to bring it to its knees. And Yahweh is going to reestablish his one world system and one world order that people are going to be rejecting because of false doctrine, false shepherding, and not knowing the word. But Yahweh had Moses confront Pharaoh right at his source. We're going to go through some of the prophets here. I'm really excited. Ezekiel 29 says, in the 10th year, in the 10th month, in the 12th day of the month, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him, against all Egypt. I think this is future stuff. Speak and say, Thus says Yahweh, Behold, I'm against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lies in the midst of his rivers, which has said, My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. So this could look like in the end times a ruler who is boastful, that's I do this, I did that, I run the show in the world. But I will put hooks in your jaws, and I will cause the fish of your rivers to stick under your scales. So that's why the scriptures say in a different way, come out of her, my people, lest you be partakers with her sin. So those who are attached to Egypt and Pharaoh and his ways will be stuck to him, right? And I will bring you up out of the midst of the rivers, and all the fish of your rivers shall stick under your scales. So this is the fish dying. This is the fish being pulled out of the water, and they're going to flop around and die. I will leave you thrown into the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers, and you shall fall upon the open fields. You shall not be brought together nor gathered. I have given you for meat to the beasts of the field and to the fowls of heaven. And all the inhabitants of Egypt shall know that I am Yahweh, because they have because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. I mean, and ultimately that's what's happening now. Egypt is Egypt system is sustaining Yah's people. But this is why that call is to come out of her. This is why a lot of us are wanting to maybe grow our own foods. This is why maybe some of us are wanting to look at more natural ways of healing and I say natural ways of healing, natural ways of medicine. Healing comes from Yahweh ultimately. But there's different ways, and some of us are homeschooling. These are different ways we can come out of her, right? It says, when they took hold of you by the hand, you did break and rend all their shoulder. And when they leaned upon you, you broke and made all their loins to be at a stand. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Behold, I will bring a sword upon you and cut off man and beast out of you. And the land of Egypt shall be desolate and waste, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, because he has said, the river is mine, and I have made it. So he's going to humble the haughty. Ezekiel 31-6, the word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus says Yahweh, Howl ye, woe worth the day, for the day is near, even the day of Yahweh is near, a cloudy day. It shall be the time of the nations, and the sword shall come upon Egypt, and great pain shall be in Ethiopia, when the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude, and her foundations shall be broken down. This is good. So the foundations of Egypt are it's basically it's the system. It's the system that's holding all this up. And we have to be honest with ourselves that America and its allegiances are The foundations are what's holding up and is the overall flow of everything. The petrodollar, all, like, you guys have been learning this stuff. And this is why, to understand the river of Egypt right now. Ethiopia, Libya, Lydia, and all the mingled people in Chub, and the men of the land that is in league shall fall with them by the sword. So again, this is why we've got to come out of her. Though we may be in her, we have to start coming out of her ways. Thus says Yahweh, they also that upheld Egypt shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down from the tower of Syene, shall they fall in it by the sword, says Yahweh Elohim. Continuing down, verse 15, and I will pour my fury upon Sin, the strength of Egypt, and I will cut off the multitude of No, and I will set a fire in Egypt. Sin shall have great pain, and No shall be rent asunder, and Noph shall have distresses daily. The young men of Avon and of Pi-beseth shall fall by the sword, and these cities shall go into captivity. At Tahaphanes also the day shall be darkened, and when I shall break, there shall be the yokes of Egypt. And when I shall break there the yokes of Egypt, and the pomp of her strength shall cease in her. As for her, a cloud shall cover her, and the daughters shall go into captivity. And I believe this cloud is that cloud that we see in Daniel 7, where the Son of Man comes with the clouds of heaven. This is Revelation 14, the Son of Man sitting on a cloud. Isaiah 19, Yahweh shall come into Egypt riding on a cloud. Right, and so, thus will I execute judgments in Egypt, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. So this country, in my opinion, is going to get it. However, there is going to be a remnant, and it will be healed. And it shall, as opposed to the mother Egypt, the greater Egypt, which is Jerusalem and the Mediterranean over there, which will suffer the ultimate devastation. And it says, and it came to pass in the 11th year in the first month, in the 7th day of the month, that the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and lo, it shall not be bound up to be healed, to put a roller to bind it, to make it strong to hold the sword. Therefore thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, will break his arms the strong, and that which was broken, and I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. Going to Ezekiel 32, and it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, saying, in the first day of the month, that the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say unto him. So this is kind of interesting, right? And so you see this also with a lamentation for king of Tyre, and other times. So it's like, this is that precept where you don't even rejoice when your enemies fall. And this will kind of tie into a similar theme that we see. There's a kind of a mourning in Isaiah 15, Isaiah 16, Jeremiah 48, mourning for this place called Moab, which in my opinion is another poetic end times pseudo-name or placeholder name for this country, this oppressive country that is prideful, does the work of Yahweh deceitfully. But anyways, he mourns for the devastation. And so if this land is filled with people who, again, believe in Christ, but have been led astray by false shepherds in a false system, and a system of death, and has been basically blinded by Egypt, won't there be great lamentation for all the people that maybe really wanted to serve Jesus, but just didn't know how, and just kept and remained in the false sheep pens? Isn't that sad? Doesn't that tug at you somewhere? Like, it does for me. Like, some people out there that really want to serve him, but for anguish of spirit, and for cruel bondage, and for just straight up wicked shepherds, they're led astray. And that's the sad reality of captivity. I'm not really smart on what is not the Pavlov's dog, the effect of where you fight for your captivity. It's kind of like how the Israelites wanted to go back to Egypt because they were going through hardships, and they'd rather just go back to where it was comfy. And that's what's different today. It's even more comfy. I mean, I like AC, I get it, but like, come on, Yah comes first. Anyways, let's get back to it. So take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him, you are like a young lion of the nations, and you are a whale in the seas, and you came forth with your rivers, and you trouble the waters with your feet, and foul the rivers. And so consider the water is the word, and false shepherds can foul those rivers, especially national leaders, people that have a lot of influence. Thus says Yahuwah, I will therefore spread out my net over you with a company of many people, and they shall bring you up in my net. Then will I leave you upon the land, and will cast you forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of heaven to remain upon you. And I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with you, and lay your flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with your height. I will also water with your blood the land wherein you swimmest. Even the mountains and the rivers shall be full of you. So this is like that Moses meeting him in the river thing, but in a much greater end times context. And when I shall put you out, I will cover the heaven. I will make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. And all the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over you, and set darkness upon your land, says Yahuwah. So just like that darkness right in the land of Egypt, we'll read about it in the next Torah portion, of course. It says, I will also vex the hearts of many people, when I shall bring your destruction among the nations, into the countries wherein you have not known. Yea, I will make many people amazed at you, and their kings shall be horribly afraid for you, when I shall brandish my sword before them, and they shall tremble at every moment, every man for his life, in the day of your fall. For thus says Yahuwah, the sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon you. By the swords of the mighty will I cause your multitude to fall, the terrible of the nations, all of them, and they shall spoil the pomp of Egypt, and all the multitude thereof shall be destroyed. I will destroy also all the beasts thereof from beside the great waters, neither shall the foot of man trouble them any more, nor the hoofs of beasts trouble them. Then will I make their waters deep, and cause their rivers to run like oil, says Yahuwah, when I shall make the land of Egypt desolate, and the country shall be destitute of that wherein it was full. So think about this nation right now, right? When I shall smite all them that dwell therein, then they shall know that I am Yahuwah. This is the lamentation wherewith they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations shall lament her. They shall lament for her, even for Egypt, and for all her multitude, says Yahuwah. So it's coming, right? It's coming to this place. And so consider we've talked about rivers, fish, death, right? So people who are still ingrained into the system, when it falls and they're attached to it, and I don't know all the far extending reaches of that. And then I'm not saying if you use a dollar bill, you're attached to Pharaoh, especially with money. We have to use that to a certain extent right now. I am looking forward to the day that Abba institutes his own system or replaces all this. But until then, I'm not saying be foolish and quit your jobs and, all those things have to be done by the hand of Yah. But I'm just saying I think we're living in the last days and some drastic measures need to be taken. And to whatever extent you can to come out of her, I believe the God of Israel will have some favor every move we make away from coming out of her, because the water is going to turn to blood again and many fish are going to die. Man, I had a dream about this. I was looking for it on my phone the other day. I had all these dreams written down, and this is why you write them down on paper. I can't find them on my phone. But I just remember, pretty sure that was the one with Daniel, my son, in it. And I don't know if I'm mixing two different dreams, but China was attacking. And in another scene, there was just fish everywhere, and they were flopping on the water and dying. There were some that were caught in nets. Messiah even says the kingdom of heaven is like a big net full of fish, right? And the bad are tossed out and the good are kept. It literally, the river and those attached to Pharaoh, it literally says, are going to die with him. And so there's a mission for us. We've got to fish, right? This is kind of like a little side topic along this topic, but really important though. And I think this really helps us understand the book of Revelation, that is very highly symbolic, because people are like, interpreting Mystery Babylon, and they're like, well, obviously just a shipping harbor. What's up? So you are purer of eyes than to behold evil, and cannot look on iniquity. Wherefore look you upon them that deal treacherously, and hold your tongue when the wicked devours the man that is more righteous than he. Listen to this, and makes men as the fishes of the sea, and as the creeping things that have no ruler over them. They take up all of them with the angle. So this is fishing talk. They catch them in their net, and they gather them in their drag. Therefore they rejoice and are glad. Therefore they sacrifice unto their net. So so men are the fish, the harvest. People harvest them, sacrifice unto their net, and burn incense unto their drag. So the method of catching people becomes their god and their worship and their idol, because by them their portion is fat and their meat is plenteous. And so at a very disgusting literal scale, you have, of course, stuff that we're learning about, the Epstein files, right? It's that kind of stuff. That's literally catching people and selling them and marketing them. That literally happens. But consider on a spiritual level, again, going to the religious pillars, Judaism, even Christianity, if it leads away from the Torah of the Most High, it's death. I mean, if you believe the same scriptures I do, is it 32? Yeah. It says, he said to them, Deuteronomy 32:46, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which you shall command your children to observe to do all the words of this law. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And remember, Messiah told the Pharisees, I'll just show you, because I do live in the show me state. Show me, Adam, right? He's talking to the Pharisees, you hypocrites. Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draws nigh to me with their mouth. So, like, lots of songs, and we love you. Oh, we love you. Right? And honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Why? But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines and commandments of men. The opposite, he says his law is not vain, and it is your life. So, back to case in point, if even there's these massive harvests of millions, billions of people turning to Christianity, if it's the current mainstream version, which is aside from the law or apart or away from the law, it's death. It's a system of death. And that's going to be revealed by the Most High in due time as death. And people that cling to it, that are going to try to find safety in it, they're not going to find it. That was prophesied. It's somewhere. Anyways, let me just finish this. It says, shall they therefore empty their net and not spare continually to slay the nations? Right? And so we know spiritually, it says, he said to me, the waters which you saw where the horse sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And we just found out that men are that's the market. And consider, again, Epstein stuff. Very horrific, very literal, very heinous. Even more heinous is people that want to find everlasting life and want to have everlasting life and to follow Messiah, but are led away from life and are thrown into death. It's even worse. It says, so Revelation 18, this is the merchandise, right, of the horror. And of course, it's the precious things of the earth. But slaves and souls of men, this is the merchandise. Because consider for a second the value of this. Now, put that on a scale of a balance and weigh that versus chariots, horses, sheep, beasts, wheat, flour, all of them. Doesn't even compare, right? So this is the revenue of the harlot. Yeah, so let's go to Isaiah 19. So this is end times Egypt stuff. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rides upon a swift cloud. It's not, if you were paying attention earlier, it's going to be a cloudy day. There's going to be a cloud over Egypt because Yahweh rides upon a swift cloud. Let's call for him, huh? Please come. And shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, just like the first Exodus, that the night the firstborn was slain. Interesting. I wonder if that's the parallel. of when the firstborn, which Paul identifies as the physical seed. And I wonder if that's the parallel of the firstborn in Egypt being slain. Interesting. So, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And that's that infighting that we're already seeing. And they shall fight everyone against his brother, anywhere against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. I will destroy the counsel thereof. They shall seek to the idols, the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. So this is why I'm saying, like, all this stuff will be going down. Even when, like, the two witnesses are like, hey, fear Yah, and stuff's about to go crazy. You're about to get destroyed by a tornado, whirlwinds, hail's going to come get you unless you repent. And people are going to be like, no, that's stupid. Let's watch the news and see what's actually going on. It's that simple. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, says Yahweh of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up, and the reeds and flags shall wither. So this is going back to Moses and Pharaoh, that showdown. And so the source of Egypt's prosperity became death, right? The Nile, the source of its prosperity, became death. And so in a similar way, the end times Egypt, the source of its wealth is going to dry up. The paper reeds by the brooks, the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither and be driven away and be no more. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament. So very very literally probably, but also spiritually, this is when everything in the midst of this country is going to fail. Even those that fish for souls of men, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. Right? Moreover, they that work in fine flax, they that weave networks shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof. All that make sluices and ponds for fish. So this is methods of catching fish. So the whole foundation is going to be broken down at its knees to rubble, and that's a good thing for us. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools, and the counsel of the wise counselors of Pharaoh has become brutish. How say you unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings? Where are they? Where are their wise men? Let them tell you now, and let them know what Yahweh of hosts has purposed upon Egypt. The princes of Zoan are become fools. So this is like, the ruling class, the politicians, the leaders, the military, the leaders of this country become fools. Especially if true wisdom is the knowledge of the Most High and his ways. The princes of Noph are deceived. They also have seduced Egypt, even they that are the stay of the tribes thereof. Yahweh has mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. And so what this looks like in the book of Revelation is, of course, those spirits of frogs going into leaders and to perform miracles and to lead astray the people. So there's going to be a spirit in the middle of this country leading people spiritually astray. And they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggers in his vomit. This is another parable type of statement as being astray from the Torah. And so neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day Egypt shall be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shakes over. We're going to read directly what's going to happen in Isaiah here, in Isaiah 11 in a little bit. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that makes mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he has determined against or for it. In that day 5 cities in the land of Egypt shall speak the language of Canaan, and swear to Yahweh of hosts. Now we got some good news coming. One shall be called the city of destruction. In the Septuagint, I think it's the city of righteousness. I have to verify that. I have to double check myself on that. But there's another interpretation of the city of righteousness, or city of the sun. Now it says, in that day there should be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof. So this is kind of interesting. Last week I was looking at the very literal understanding of, I was like, let them go so they can do sacrifice to me. And I think even in this one, I think Pharaoh's like, go ahead, just do sacrifice here. And Moses is like, I can't slaughter the animal here. We'll be stoned to death. Because the sacrificial animals for Israel were revered as gods in Egypt. That's why the golden calf, right? They didn't eat that animal. You see that still like in Hinduism and stuff like that. It's nothing new. But nevertheless, why is there an altar? Now, this can be purely spiritual, but if we're honest with each other, especially Ezekiel 40 through 48, the slaughterings, not all of them, some of them come back. I mean, you even see that in the heart of David, right, where he's like, even mentions that he doesn't really even want, or he says, for you desire not sacrifice, else would I give it. You delight not in burnt offering. He talks about the spiritual ones. Sacrifices of Elohim are a broken spirit. A broken and a contrite heart, O Elohim, will you not despise. Do good in your pleasure unto Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. So, of course, is that rebuilding in the last days. Then shall you be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness. And it specifies that this is not just spiritual anymore. With burnt offering and whole burnt offering, then they shall offer bullocks upon your altar. Which, anyways, so I don't have the full understanding of that. This is something, of course, the God of Israel himself is going to reinstate. So this is not just a couple of people getting together and be like, hey, this sounds like a good idea. This is going to be, he's going to say, it's time. But the facts are, regardless of any interpretation, there's going to be an altar in the middle of the land of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto Yahweh because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a Savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. So these are the facts. This is what's happening in the last days. So in the middle of this country called Egypt, there's going to be this. And Yahweh shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know Yahweh on that day, and specifically shall do sacrifice and oblation. Yea, they shall vow a vow to Yahweh and perform it. And Yahweh shall smite Egypt, and shall smite it and heal it. So it's not going to be the end for this country, but it's going to get broken down to its knees. And they shall return even to Yahweh, and he shall be entreated of them, and shall heal them. In that day there shall be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria, and Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and Assyria, even a blessing in the middle of the land, to whom Yahweh of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, mine inheritance. So this sounds like one happy family in this country that's called Egypt, where in the center of it is something massive is going to go down. And so consider, before that day happens, there is a fishing contest. Jeremiah 16:14 says, Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that there shall no more be said, Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands where he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. And so consider, just for those of you that are like, giving me some genuine pushback with my understanding of the Mediterranean, Jerusalem is going to be destroyed, and he's going to set a new Jerusalem somewhere else. Consider that I do believe that in the time of Adam through Noah, it's possible that the forefathers lived on this continent. Consider that, the giant bones are here. All sorts of crazy stuff went down here. Consider it's nothing for Noah to build the ark here, for it to float on the water, and then to literally just rest on the other continent over there when the waters went down. It says, Behold, I will send for many fishers, says Yahweh, and they shall fish them, and after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rock. So it's like there's different harvests. Those who will be willingly fished will be fished. Those who don't will be resisted will be hunted. So it's like those who weren't willing to yield, the force and the intensity will change things. Isaiah 27, In that day Yahweh with his sore and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan the piercing serpent, even Leviathan that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. A parable for Pharaoh, ultimately Satan, but of course we know Satan has a representative. In that day singing unto her a vineyard of red wine. I, Yahweh, do keep it, I will water it every moment. Lest any hurt it, I will keep it night and day. Fury is not in me. Who would set the briars and thorns against me in battle? I will go through them, I will burn them together. Or let him take hold of my strength, which is his Torah, that he may make peace with me. This is why it's called the way of peace. And he shall make peace with me. He shall cause them that come of Jacob to take root. So his people are going to be planted somewhere. I think we just read about it in Isaiah 19. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit. So that's the the kingdom of heaven being like leaven, starting off very minuscule, microscopic, but permeating the entire dough. It'll take root, blossom, bud, fill the face of the world with fruit. A little bit later in Isaiah 27, so this is more of that fishing. It shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt. This is like a threshing, agricultural type of statement, but when paired with a very literal statement here, from the channel of the river into the stream of Egypt, you shall be gathered one by one, O you children of Israel. So he's literally saying that in Egypt, I'm going to fish you out of Pharaoh's river, and I'm going to bring you unto me. So I know a lot of this is spiritual. And I believe that happens, of course, at the cross, which is the greater manifestation, in my opinion. And the salvation, deliverance that was found in Egypt was at the cross. But nevertheless, in the end times, though Pharaoh and the nations gather fishes in these massive commercial nets, he says, I'm going to fish you one by one. So because the kingdom of heaven is not about quantity, although I think it's his heart, our hearts should be all of our hearts, that every single person alive today would just stop what they're doing and be like, yeah, we're going to serve the God of Israel in his ways. Like, mind blown, let's do it. But that's not what the scriptures say is going to happen. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh in the holy mountain of Jerusalem, which we just learned that it's going to be centralized here in Egypt. Jeremiah 3:14, turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and will bring you to Zion. So this tells us, right, it's going to be slim at the beginning. It's going to be a small remnant at the beginning, but he's going to start somewhere, and it's going to permeate and take over. Ezekiel 34:11, for thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search for my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people, and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them to their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and will cause them to lie down, says Yahweh Elohim. I will seek that which was lost, and bring that again which was driven away. And I will bind up that which was broken, and strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong, and feed them with judgment, or wormwood, Revelation says. So we had Egypt's river, fouling, killing fishes. Here's the ultimate reversal completely. We saw Egypt's river being dried up. People aren't able to fish. This is like that Revelation 22 river. Afterward, he brought me again to the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. For the forefront of the house stood toward the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house, and at the south side of the altar. Then brought he me out of the way of the gate northward, and led me about the way without unto the utter gate by the way that looks eastward, and behold, there ran out waters on the right side. And when the man that had the line in his hand went forth eastward, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the ankles. So it starts off small, right, the waters. Again, he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters, and the waters are to the knees. And so it grows. Again, he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters to the loins, growing. Afterward, he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I cannot pass over. For the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that cannot be passed over. And he said to me, Son of man, have you seen this? Sorry. Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I had returned, behold, at the bank of the river there were many trees on the one side and on the other. This is those Psalm 1 trees, right? That meditate on the Torah day and night. Then he said to me, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. He said to me, these waters issue out toward the east country, and go down in the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. And it shall come to pass that everything that lives, which moves, whithersoever the river shall come shall live. This is the nourishing. This is the nourishment of the Torah going forth. This is the message of the kingdom going forth. This is the message of Yahusha crucified going forth. The real message, the message of the cross and walking in the narrow path. This is the unfouled water. Wherever the river shall come shall live, and there shall be a very great multitude of fish. That's exciting, y'all. I'm excited because these waters shall come there, for they shall be healed, and everything shall live where the river comes. And it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from En-Gedi even to En-Glaim, and they shall be a place to spread forth nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. So this is the different nations, the different types of fish, and they will be fished, and they'll be gathered unto Yahweh. I mean, that's the whole mission of Messiah in the latter days. Is it Isaiah 42 or 43? I think it's 43, maybe. So it says, he shall not fail nor be discouraged till he has set judgment, which is part of the law, in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. This is not something new. No, it's 43. No, it's 41. Yeah, the mission is 41. Sorry. It says... Or is it 49? Oh my goodness. I am like messing up here. I'm losing my yeah, here we go. Goodness. It says and now says Yahweh that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Like overall, like the mission is to not bring vain numbers to ourselves or gather followers to ourselves. The mission is to bring him back home to our shepherd and to his fold. Now we have to act like shepherds, but ultimately we're bringing them to him, and that needs to be the mindset. So though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim should be my strength. He said, it's a light thing, it's a small thing that you should be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the nations, that you may be my salvation to the ends of the earth. Now consider, Paul quoted this, and he applied it to himself in the missions of the apostles back then. I think in the last days, even greater. And so, yeah, it says, thus says Yahweh, in an acceptable time I have heard you, in a day of salvation I have helped you, and will preserve you, and give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. And so it's literally to help people come out of prison, not even just physically, but the spiritual prisons that they're in. The prison that the system that Pharaoh is propping this world up with. A system of death, a system of greed, a system of vampirism. Anyways. Yeah. It says here, just to finish up here, and by the river, upon the bank thereof, on this side, on that side, shall be grow all trees for food, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because the waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for food, and the leaf for medicine. And so the Torah is the healing and is what everybody needs. Just a couple last things on Egypt. These are some of the prophecies. It says, Psalm 68:31, princes shall come out of Egypt, rulers shall come out of Egypt. All right. Hosea 11:1, when Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. Isaiah 11:11 through 16, it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart. The adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah. Judah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west, They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom, Moab, the children of Ammon shall obey them. And, listen up, Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. Now, you can read right past this and not recognize the parallel that America physically inhabits. So what's really unique about the Egyptian sea, or the power of the Nile, was that it had 7 streams, or 7 torrents, or 7 sources that it fed, that made the whole land prosperous, and the Nile itself was the source. Well, wouldn't you know? You can look it up yourself, that one of the major reasons that America is prosperous, well, one of the major reasons is it has a literal ocean moat around it, which makes it incredibly hard to conquer. That's why, one of the reasons why it's withheld. But one of the reasons why it's a financial powerhouse is the Mississippi River. And when you know what's interesting about the Mississippi River is it has 7 torrents that it feeds, or feeds it, or it's the source of. And so, very interestingly, that with the drying up of the Mississippi River, I'm not saying it's happening or going to happen, but if the Most High were to just simply do that, it would completely change the financial picture of this country, and there would be many aftershocks, after effects of that. And I don't know if that's literally in store, or if the bringing the America to its knees can be totally done in a different way. I have no idea, but it is interesting that America, the Mississippi, Egypt, and the Nile share that distinction. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. So, second Exodus talk. Moses' name means drawing out of water. So just like Moses was taken out of Egypt to lead his people, Psalm 18:16, he sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. No doubt, in my opinion, a parallel to Hosea 11:1, that and out of Egypt have I called my son. So, and again, just remember in Revelation 11, you've got these 2 witnesses prophesying, fire coming out of their mouth. They have power to shut heaven that doesn't rain, power over waters to turn them to blood, smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. So a lot of these themes from Exodus is going to reoccur. So anyways, I think I've really explained myself on what I'm seeing here. So let's go to chapter 8. How about that? Yeah?
Shemot, Exodus, chapter 8. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe,
Go unto Pharaoh, say unto him, Thus says Yahweh, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all your borders with frogs. And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into your house, and into your bedchamber, and upon your bed, and into the house of your servants, and upon your people, and into the ovens, and into your kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up, both on you and upon your people, and upon all your servants.
And Yahweh spoke unto El Moshe,
Say unto El Aharon, Stretch forth your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause the frogs to come up upon the land of Mitzrayim.
And Aharon stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up the frogs upon the land of Mitzrayim. Then Pharaoh called for Moshe and Aharon and said,
Entreat El Yahuwah, that he may take away the frogs from me, and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto Yahuwah.
And Moshe said unto Pharaoh, Glory over me. When shall I entreat for you, and for your servants, and for your people, to destroy the frogs from you and from your houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said,
Tomorrow.
And he said, Be it according to your word. that you may know that there is none like unto Yahweh Eloheinu. And the frogs shall depart from you, and from your houses, and from your servants, and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moshe and Aharon went out from Pharaoh, and Moshe cried unto Eliyahu because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And Yahweh did according to the word of Moshe, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart, and hearkened not unto them as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said unto El Moshe,
Say unto El Aharon, Stretch out your rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Mitzrayim.
And they did so. For Aharon stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth the lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. Then the magicians said unto Pharaoh,
This is the finger of Elohim.
And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said unto Moshe,
Rise up early in the morning, stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he comes forth to the water. And say unto him, Thus says Yahweh, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else if you will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon you, and upon your servants, and upon your people, and into your houses. And the houses of the Mitzrayim shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will deliver in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end you may know that I am Yahweh in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow shall this sign be.
And Yahweh did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Mitzrayim. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And Pharaoh called for Moshe and for Aharon, and said,
Go ye, sacrifice to your Elohim in the land.
And Moshe said, It is not meet so to do, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Mitzrayim to Yahweh Eloheinu. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Mitzrayim before their eyes? And will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, and sacrifice to Yahweh Eloheinu, as he shall command us. And Pharaoh said,
I will let you go, that ye may sacrifice to Yahuwah Elohika in the wilderness. Only ye shall not go very far away. Entreat for me.
And Moshe said, Behold, I go out from you, and I will entreat El Yahweh, that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more, in not letting the people go to sacrifice to Yahweh. And Moshe went out from Pharaoh, and entreated Yahweh. And Yahweh did according to the word of Moshe, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. There remained not one. And Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go.
Man, there was a time where my wife and I and some fellow believers lived at a place called Camp Tomahawk, which was by a river, which is beautiful. But then on the other side, it was also right next to a turkey farm with like thousands of turkeys and lots of turkey waste. And during fly season, it literally felt like the plague. Now, you might be like, oh, whatever, flies. No. I think there was a time in our camper where I don't know, without exaggerating, like 150 flies. I don't know. It was just so disgusting. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I don't know. And there was people that had it worse than us, and it was just like horrific. And so, yeah, flies are horrible, and may we never ever have to experience that again. Revelation 16, it says, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of Elohim Almighty. And so, in the time past, the frogs, it said they were everywhere. They were the kneading troughs. They were just everywhere. The book of Jasher, if it's the account is not exaggerated, it literally said they came out of everything. They came out of their sweat glands. They were in their bellies, everywhere. And so, if these frogs are spiritual in the latter days and represent devils and inhabit people and work miracles, well, I guess look around you and look at all the false prophets and people leading astray and the multitude of people who are being caught like fish in the nets of these systems. Yeah. Anyways, hang on, I don't know why I'm there. I have a lot of tabs open. Let me close a couple tabs. I have like 30 tabs open. Okay. So Ezekiel 34:2, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus says Yahweh unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of the Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? And then a little bit further down, As for you, O my flock, thus says Yahweh, Behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between rams and the he-goats. Seems it a small thing unto you that you have eaten up the good pasture, but must you tread down with your feet the residue of your pastures, and to have drunk the deep waters, but must you foul the residue with your feet? So it's like they were drinking from that source, but they fouled the water. And I think this is just a poetic or a spiritual way of what the Pharisees did. They put aside the law of Yah in order to keep their traditions. So they would have man-made traditions that would kind of overrule or just have their own way of interpreting to eliminate the original intention. Like one of them, the one that Messiah pointed out, but it's definitely not limited to, is honor your mother and father, which means financially as well. And it was generally understood and accepted, but they had a rule that overseeded that. It was like, hey, if you give this to the temple and us, then you're free from the obligation to help your parents. And so obviously people that would exercise that would be exercising great cruelty, and they may have instituted that rule for some odd reason, maybe some righteous seeming reason that, whatever. Either way, it's superseded. Much like Yah gave divorce for when a marriage failed, so that they could both separate, and he even says the woman can go get remarried, ultimately to find some love, find something to work out. But the Pharisees added laws to that, to where, because the restriction was to find uncleanness in her. That was the allowance for the divorce. But they said, hey, for any cause, to include a woman makes the meal not to his liking, or he finds another woman more attractive. It's literally in the Talmud. This is literally in the oral traditions. And that's why the Pharisees challenge Messiah. He says, can a man divorce a woman for any cause? What do you say? Huh? What say ye? Huh? And it says, tempting him. And so that's why he just, he basically restored the original intent. And that ultimately his heart, that people wouldn't need divorce. But for the hardness of your hearts, he suffered. He suffered them to have it. So anyways, this is, I think, a poetic way of fouling the residue, fouling the waters, right? And as for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden with your feet. So it's like, think of like clean water, but stepping in with muddy boots and they drink that which you have fouled with your feet. Therefore, thus says Yahweh unto them, Behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle, because you have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the disease with your horns, till you have scattered them abroad. And ultimately, when there's ruling with oppression, when there's ruling with man-made traditions, people that naturally have the Spirit or want to follow Yah are pushed away. They flee from this, and they get scattered. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. And I will set up one shepherd over them, he shall feed them, even my servant David, he shall feed them, he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. And so, of course, the clean waters is the Torah. This is those trees that we were reading about in Ezekiel 47 on each side of the river, that whose leaves didn't fade, right? It said, but the person whose delight is in the law, the Torah, and meditates on it day and night, but literally would apply it to every segment of their life, because the Torah does encompass every basic pillar of life to govern whether you want to obey the Creator or not. So the person that does that is like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth his fruit in his season, his leaf shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. That's who I want to be when everything shakes out. This is not to boast or like, oh, look at me, but this is like, man, this is our Father's love language. This shows how we respect him. It shows that he's the boss. It shows that we thank him. Sign me up. It's like Peter. Okay, not my hands only, but my head and my feet. It's like, okay, Sabbath and feast days. Okay, great. What else? I want it all. I want everything you want us to do. And ultimately, if he says, hey, I want these slaughterings to resume, it's time. I'm not going to be like, oh, no. I'll be like, yes, sir. Okay. And some of you out there will be like, whoa, you would slaughter an animal? Well, I don't know. Like, I eat the Passover. We eat meat. And consider a lot of those offerings, especially the mincha, the grain offering, the peace offering. This is like big gatherings. It was like a family meal. Like, invite your friends, invite the strangers, come and let them have of this offering. You're dedicating it to Yah and sharing it with the people. Like, what's wrong with that? And so, the only reason I'm saying that is because the whole crux of this is to go sacrifice, go slaughter in the name of Elohim, according to the way he wants it and orders it. That was the whole struggle back then. Don't tell me that there's not going to be something included here in the last days. Also, I wanted to share that we see that I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, that no swarm of flies shall be there. So there's this separation. We see, of course, next Torah portion even more, the darkness, the death. These people are protected from even the darkness. They had light in their dwellings, but everything else was dark. So it was set apart. It was different. And so I believe that there's a refuge and will be a refuge. You see that here in Isaiah 4. It says, in that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious. Remember, Messiah says, I am the vine, you are the branches. So, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. We learned that the fruit that Yah wants comes from being nourished by the clean waters of Torah. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remains in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even everyone that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When Yahweh shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning, so a cleansing, right? Land's going to be smitten, but cleansed and healed. And Yahweh will create upon every dwelling upon Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and a smoke by day, and the shining of a flame of fire by night. For upon the glory shall be a defense, and there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, so protection, and a place of refuge for a covert from storm and from rain. So there's going to be a Goshen type place, a literal place in my opinion, where I believe Yah is going to call people to, or supernaturally bring, I don't know how this all works. I just see that there is a place that's centralized. You see it we saw it in Isaiah 19 in the middle of Egypt, where there's going to be an altar and there's going to be this convergence. And I believe this is a place of refuge and covert from the storm. And where is this place? It's in Moab, spiritually called Moab, or prophetically called Moab. It says, "Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land, from Selah to the wilderness, unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be that, as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon." So in the book of Numbers 21 specifically, it talks about, I think the first and second Exodus talks about the Red Sea and at the fords of Arnon. I believe the fords of Arnon are to come. I believe there's going to be a massive victory for Yahweh and his people at the fords of Arnon. But that's for another time. It says, "Take counsel, execute judgment, make your shadow the protection as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcasts, bewray not him that wanders or escapes. Let my outcast dwell with you, Moab." So the people that are wanting to come out of Pharaoh's ways, come out of the ways of the system, and to be in the ways of the Most High and be in covenant with the Most High. He's going to gather somewhere. He's going to set his name somewhere. He's going to set a rallying flag somewhere. He's going to sound the trumpet somewhere. The law is going to go forth from somewhere. And he says, "Let my outcasts dwell with you, Moab. Be a covert to them from the face of the spoiler, for the extortioner is at an end, the spoiler ceases, the oppressors are consumed out of the land. And in mercy shall the throne be established, and he shall sit upon it in truth," so in Torah, "in the house of David, judging, seeking judgment, and hasting righteousness." So it's that kingdom, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, going forth, like the law goes forth, just like we saw in Ezekiel 47. Starts off with small waters, and it gets, of course, it consumes. Isaiah 16:14, "But now Yahweh spoken, saying, within 3 years, as the year of an hireling, and the glory of Moab shall be contemned with all that great multitude, and the remnant shall be very small and feeble." So the remnant of Yahweh shall be small and feeble. But if you were sticking with me, remember the prophecy in Zechariah is, "He that is feeble shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as Elohim in that day," when he comes and returns. Going back to Isaiah 15:5, "My heart shall cry out for Moab." So this is a place that's called Moab, but is a place that's filled with his people. His fugitives, so the people that escape from Babylon, that are fleeing from her, shall flee unto Zoar. I believe Zoar is this spiritual place that is this place of protection. Zoar ultimately, I believe, becomes Zion. It's a place of refuge at first, but at some point, when her foundations are reared up, the God of Israel comes and sets it as Zion. So his fugitives shall flee unto Zoar, a heifer of 3 years old. For by the mounting up of Luhith with weeping shall they go it up. For in the way of Horonaim shall they raise up cry of destruction. So this is literally that city, this Zoar, where the fugitives gather to and will raise up a cry of destruction, like a warning, like, hey, it's coming. And Micah 5:2 says, "You, Bethlehem," so the house of bread. So where the nourishment goes forth. Earlier we saw the waters go forth. Well, the bread goes forth as well. Egypt was the center of where people were fed and nourished. How much more in the last days spiritually? "But you, Bethlehem, the house of bread, Ephratah, the fruitful field," or fruitfulness, "though you be little," and this word is Zoar. So earlier it said Zoar, and so Zoar means little or insignificant. So even though you're insignificant among the thousands of Judah, so even though you're despised, rejected, insignificant, passed over, yet out of you shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler of Israel, whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting. So history is going to repeat. Yahweh is going to set his place somewhere as a rallying point, like, come here. If you want to hear, come. And there will be protection. I believe that's what I believe. I mean, that's how I understand it. Because ultimately, that's the spiritual principle that's applied in Revelation 11. That, I mean, certainly he can protect anyone anywhere he wants to, but this is the reality. It says, "There was given to me a reed like a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given to the nations, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And so there's this protection Even if you're a reader of Second Baruch, it literally says, I will then only protect those who are found within my borders in those days. Maybe somebody can leave the address there for me in Second Baruch. But ultimately, that's how I understand it. And it would fit the first narrative, and history repeats. There's nothing new under the sun. So let's finish up here with chapter 9. And I got a little bit more to say on that Zohar to Zion perspective.
Shemot, Exodus, chapter 9. Then Yahweh said unto El Moshe,
Go in unto Pharaoh and tell him, Thus says Yahuwah Elohai of the Ephraim, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and will hold them still, behold, the hand of Yahuwah is upon your cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous pestilence, and Yahuwah shall sever between the cattle of Yasharel and the cattle of Mitzrayim, and there shall nothing die of all that is the children's of Yasharel.
And Yahweh appointed a set time, saying,
Tomorrow Yahuwah shall do this thing in the land.
And Yahweh did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Mitzrayim died, but of the cattle of the children of Yasharel died not one. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of Yasharel dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And Yahweh said unto El Moshe and unto El Aharon,
Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moshe sprinkle it towards the heavens in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Mitzrayim, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Mitzrayim.
And they took the ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. And Moshe sprinkled it up toward the heavens, and it became a boil, breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moshe because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Mitzrayim. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh had spoken unto El Moshe. And Yahweh said unto El Moshe,
Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus says Yahuwah Elohai of the Ephraim, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon your heart, and upon your servants, and upon your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite you, and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause have I raised you up, for to show in you my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. As yet exalt you yourself against my people, that you will not let them go? Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as has not been in Mitzrayim since the foundation thereof even until now. Send therefore now and gather your cattle, and all that you have in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field, and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die.
He that feared the word of Yahweh among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that regarded not the word of Yahweh left his servants and his cattle in the field. And Yahweh said unto El Moshe,
Stretch forth your hand towards the heavens, that there may be hail in all the land of Mitzrayim, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field, throughout the land of Mitzrayim.
And Moshe stretched forth his rod toward the heavens, and Yahweh sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and Yahweh rained hail upon the land of Mitzrayim. So there was hail, and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Mitzrayim since it became a nation. And the hail smote throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, all that was in the field, both man and beast, and the hail smote every herb of the field, and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Yasharel were, was there no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Moshe and Aharon, and said unto them,
I have sinned this time. Yahuwah is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Entreat Yahuwah, for it is enough that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, for I will let you go. Ye shall stay no longer.
And Moshe said unto him, As soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands unto El Yahweh, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that you may know how that the earth is Yahweh's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you will not fear Yahweh Elohim. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. And Moshe went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread abroad his hands unto El Yahweh, and the thunders and the hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders were ceased, he sinned yet more, and hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Yasharel go, as Yahweh had spoken by Moshe.
And thus the word of Yahweh is true, right? So, man, a couple things I want to say here, but let's go here to the boils. I want to talk about some boils. So Revelation 16:2 said, And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sword upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So this would be like the sort of equivalent, right? Verse 11, and blasphemed the God, the Elohim of heaven, because their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because you see this same hardness of heart. It's like, we're reading, it's like, how could Pharaoh be like how could he keep going on? It's like after that first one, I'd be like, you know? And so in a similar way, in the last days, all this stuff's going to happen, and people are just not going to repent, and they're going to even like just continue to blaspheme, which is wild to me. And then here in Revelation 14, you see a group of people, of course, 144,000 with Yahusha singing a new song. These are not defiled with women. Too lengthy for me to get into it, but my understanding is not defiled with the harlot. This is the come out of her, my people, like coming out of the false religious systems, the systems of death, right? Coming out of Pharaoh's waters. For they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto Elohim and the Lamb. So there's different like harvests, right? And it's just interesting because just this chapter talked about the flax and the barley and the wheat. This just it is a calendar reference, letting us know that it's the springtime. At least that's part of one of the things we can glean from it. But the first fruits, right, the barley was the earlier harvest. So you have this group of people with Yahusha, basically. There's no guile found in their mouth. They're without fault before the throne. The virgin part is, even Paul says that that Messiah will be presenting us as chaste virgins if we have, the blood of the Lamb covering us and we walk in righteousness like him. Then we are like as virgins. I mean, that's even the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. So anyways, I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue people, saying with a loud voice, Fear Elohim, and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of her fornication. In my opinion, as this is going on, either it's happening at that moment or it's in history. Hey, Jerusalem fell because she made all nations drink of the wine of her wrath of the fornication, her false doctrine, and her whole systems of death and rape and pillage. And and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture. And so basically you have these like Moses warnings that's going out from a centralized area, a grouping of Yahusha and at least 144,000, and maybe the people with them. Either way, they're separated, and all this stuff is going on. You have the destruction of Babylon, the judgment is come, so it's like time to give him glory, because all these things are getting ready to happen. So this is why I believe a remnant will be protected from all these things to come. And then you have the warning of the mark of the beast still happening. So it's like after Yahusha has come and separated a remnant to him, there's still a warning going forth of, hey, don't take the mark of the beast. Don't worship his image, because the same will face judgment. So it's like, you had this warning, hey, put your cattle in and your servants, and those that listened, of course, they were spared, and those that didn't. Okay. So you have these warnings that are going forth. So it says, here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Elohim and the faith of Yahusha. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, Right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord of the Master from henceforth. Yea, so the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. So there's a remnant gathered and protected, and then there's the next group of people that maybe weren't ready, but we're going to have to die, but they'll be blessed, and they'll still rule and reign with Messiah. Check out Enoch 50. I have a reference here. I'm going to skip it today, but there's three groups. There's a group that's the righteous, that are rewarded at his coming and glorified. There's a second group that are not rewarded and glorified, but they'll yet still be saved in his name. And so the name, in my opinion, is much deeper. It's the obedience to laws, and that's why the beast also has a name that people worship, and a system that they worship and follow. And so this is the systems I'm saying come out of the systems of death into the systems of life, and that's why his Torah is called life. So that's the call, brethren. I had a couple of things specifically about. Oh yeah, we read that. Okay, so yeah, we already had that. And then so with some of the understandings of that city of protection, a city of habitation, a city where his outcasts are protected, whether they like it or not, whether Moab likes it or not. It says, hide my outcasts. That's why I think America is unique and how it uniquely fits it, because America actually does have a lot of righteous principles that it is founded on. I mean, someone may scoff at like the death penalty for murder, but isn't that what's in the Bible? And I'm not just looking right to that, but theft is punished. Personally, I'm glad that there's police officers that monitor speed and people aren't going 200 miles an hour on the highway. I'm glad there's stop signs. I'm glad that there's stoplights. I'm glad that there's firefighters, officers. I'm glad that there's structure and order. And to a certain extent, that's why this country is flourishing, is because it has structure and order. The problem is there's doesn't have all of the arms of the righteous law of the Most High, and is also corruption from within, because there's not that, of course, that that circumcised heart leading the spirit in the heart of this nation. And so the point is, though, is even within the laws of this land, is that we have the right to worship how we want to worship. And so that includes worshiping the God of Israel how we want to worship. And so that allows one to walk in some of the fullest extents that someone's been able to walk in the Torah of the Most High since dispersion, because most of the countries they lived in outlawed the Torah. I mean, people were dismembered for not eating pork. People were punished for circumcising their children in times past. Lots of different things. But we're, especially those of us in America, are living in a time where we're allowed to serve the God of Israel the way we want to. Now, maybe not fully, and maybe we're not authorized to fully serve him. So even going back to the prospect of maybe even doing the slaughterings again one day, that can't be instituted until he comes and does that, because there has to be the whole cleansing process, selection process. They have to be cleansed. You even have to wear the right garments, all sorts of things. And so don't flee from me yet, and because I'm not sitting here saying that we're gonna get those started over here. That's totally gonna take the God of Israel to do all that. We would be unauthorized to do that. But the point is like, here in America, we can follow the God of Israel. Isaiah 26, and they can't stop us. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. Salvation will Elohim appoint for walls and bulwarks. So this is that rebuilding of the city. Open ye the gates of the righteous nation, which keeps the truth, which is the Torah, may enter in it. You will keep him or guard him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. These are the Psalm 1 trees that meditate on the Torah day and night, because he trusts in you. Trust ye in Yahweh forever, for in Yahweh is everlasting strength. For he brings down them that dwell on high, the lofty city. He lays it low. He lays it low even to the ground. He brings it even to the dust. This is right, taking America to its knees. The foot shall tread it down, even the feet of the poor, right? The poor in spirit shall inherit the earth, the steps of the needy. These are the outcasts, the castaways, the downtrodden, the humble, the meek, the peaceable, the gentle, the peacemakers, the ones that are thirsty for righteousness and hunger. The way of the just is uprightness. You, most upright, do weigh the path of the just. Yea, in the way of your judgments. This is a very specific segment of the Torah. This is the same portion of the Torah that David woke up 7 times through the night and praised Yah about. In the way of your judgments, which is how to right or wrong if you do something to somebody. So it's literally like how to show someone love according to Yah's eyes and prescription. Yea, in the way of your right rulings, O Yahweh, have we waited for you. The desire of our soul is to your name, which is not like just people being like, oh, I love your pronunciation. I love Yehovah, Yahweh. I mean, I'm not mocking that, because I love his name, and I make sure to sing to it, pray to it. But the desire of our soul has got to be much more than a pronunciation. Please do not think this faith is so shallow that everything hangs in the balance of saying his name right. It's much deeper. The relationship is much deeper. And to the remembrance of you. This is the Zakar. This is the same Zakar, the Sabbath day. Remember it. And this is where he says, don't Zakar the names of other Elohim. Don't remember the observances, the testimonies, the ordinances of other Elohim. To our modern day talk, stop doing Christmas, the appointed time of the world that's rooted in satanic paganism. That's the remembrance of other gods. So our soul is to your name, Most High, to your ways, justice, mercy, faith, and all the other stuff, and the remembrance of you. With my soul have I desired you in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me I will seek you early. For when your judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Hallelujah. That's the whole goal, is for this earth to be under the ruling and dominion of a people that have a circumcised heart and rule with the Torah. That means everything according to his ways. No more man-made traditions. No more leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. His way all the way. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. Case in point, Exhibit A, Pharaoh. Favor was showed everyone, even with the flattering words. Oh, Yahweh's righteous, and please forgive me, and I'll do what you say. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness, he will deal unjustly. And so this is what's going on in the land today of Egypt. This is the land of uprightness, but it's be dealing unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. When your hand is lifted up, they will not see, but they shall see, and be ashamed for their envy at the people. Yea, the fire of your enemies shall devour them. Yahweh, you will ordain peace for us, for you also have wrought all our works in us. O Yahweh Elohim, other lords besides you have had dominion over us, but by you only will we make mention of your name. So it's like, hey, even though these rulers of the world have lordship over us now, still we're going to be separated. We're going to dwell separately from that, and we will only make mention, or only zakar, your name. That's his Torah. That's his Sabbath, feast days, ordinances, tzitzit, clean eating, everything we can do. I hope you have a heart that's like, Yahweh, how can I observe your Torah? And knowing that none of us can keep all of it, only because, even Yehusha, right? When he was here, could he keep the female cycle laws? Of course not. Didn't apply to him. Just like there's laws for kings, there's laws for priests, there's laws for high priests, there's laws for all sorts of things. But it's like, what applies to us that I want to do? And that's the heart I have. Not to be like, haha, look at me, I'm standing on the podium. Ha ha ha. No, but like, hey, this is the right way to live. Hey, this is life. Hey, this is your love language, Father. Hey, this is how I show you respect. Hey, these are your house rules. Yes, sir. Right away. I'm happy to do it. That's it. And what about a whole load of people that have that kind of attitude? That's like, hey, I'll just be the doorkeeper, because a day in your courts is better than 1,000. And I'd rather be in the house of Yahweh than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. It says right here, verse 15, you have increased the nation, O Yahweh. You have increased the nation. You are glorified. You have removed it far to the ends of the earth. I believe this would qualify. Yahweh, in trouble have they visited you. They poured out a prayer when your chastening was upon them, like as a woman with child that draws near to the time of her delivery, is in pain and cries out in her pangs. So have we been in your sight, just like the Israelites in Egypt before. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. So even though we're trying to make an impact in the world and to share people about Yahusha and all the things we're supposed to be doing, but look around you, it's like, man, everything is still going on as it is. Sodom is still Sodom, Egypt is still Egypt. Nevertheless, it's because not by might nor by power, but by his Spirit. We're waiting on the Master. He's going to do these things. We need to do our part, which is to build him a habitation, which is his people coming together in spirit and truth, keeping his ways without pollution, without mixture. And he will come. He will come. It says, come, my people, enter in your chambers and shut your doors about you, like Goshen, right? Hide yourself, as it were, a little moment until the indignation would be overpast. For behold, Yahweh comes out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Again, when all this goes down, that's where I want to be. I want to be in this place that's called Zoar or Zion, where the house of Yahweh is restored. So anyways, finishing up here, just want to mention a couple of things. Man, we've had a lot going on here in this house, and I kind of had a prayer request last week. Just want to let you guys know, just so thankful for how many of you have just responded with love, with comments, with emails, support in many different ways. We've had people that we've been hearing about that have been praying and fasting for my wife. Just so thankful, because no boohoos. We know what we signed up for, but we've certainly received a lot of the opposite, which is hatred, rejection, sass, separation, humiliation, all sorts of things. And there was a point, where it's like, because it's like there's a principle, especially in business. You learn that when a customer is not happy, they'll tell 10 people. But very few people that are happy will ever say anything because they're just happy. They just move about their day. But people that are unhappy, so in a similar way, our naysayers are very loud and reach many people. And, people that have seen our good fruits just go about their day. And I guess it's just nice to just know that we're not completely hated, because there's a point where it's just like you hear how much you hated, and it's just like, man, I wonder if like most of Israel, at least the understanding we have of Israel today, dislikes us. And so anyways, just thank you guys so much. My wife, if you didn't hear last week, my wife has been dealing with a liver condition since she was 13. She received immediate rejection of the Gardasil vaccine and has been dealing with hepatitis of the liver, cirrhosis, and ancillary problems ever since. She's done lifelong research. A lot of you have been sharing a lot of your research as well. Thank you so much. And we're just at a place where we are taking an aggressive approach with holistic herbs, supplements, red light. There's only certain cleanses she can do because a pretty aggressive cleanse put her in the hospital 4 years ago. Because if you guys don't know, when you take a lot of different things, it's actually harder on the liver, and so her liver's the functions are very low, and so there's only limited things she can do. But anyways, the point is that we believe in the healing hand of Yahweh in this, and a lot of you have spoken life, even though there's a few that have spoken death over her and have said some pretty nasty things. But it is what it is. Yahweh will deal with everyone's heart on that. But I'm just really thankful for the love and support, and just standing in agreement that we believe the God of Israel is not done with miracles, and that my wife would be healed, and that our son's name, Yoshiyahu, Yah has healed, would remain true. And, ultimately she's also very trusting in the gospel and the Master's voice and his message, that even if that's not his plan, that she knows what's next. And anyways, we're in a good place. We have an amazing community here physically with us that, we've had people fasting for her and literally anointing her and praying over her every day. And just the amount of support, and just it's so encouraging. And I really feel like maybe the storyline here might be, I haven't heard a word from Yah, but just my heart is just feeling like, man, what a cool thing to see how many different ministries and how many different people are uniting in just a simple cause for my wife to be healed. And, especially if she is, and I believe she will be. Again, I'm not prophesying. I haven't heard from him, so I'm not just speaking some wild things. But what if she is? And it's like, it could be like one of those things like, hey guys, like, look what happens when we unite in heart and agree on anything. Why don't we start doing more of this? Why don't we start getting more communication of prayer needs and making them more abundantly known, and we can intercede for each other, and just, I don't know, just, it's got to be a better lead off than what it is now. Because I got to tell you, if my walk for the last 7 years was just limited to the online Torah fellowships, I don't know that I would have stayed in this. Just not the same. Because I'll tell you, being together, physically coming together, hugs, joining hands, laying hands, anointing with oil, praying over, and seeing lives changed and restored, and seeing people pitching in, joining for one cause, singing together, saying the same thing at the same time, dancing to Yah, sharing in meals together. Man, that's what life's about. It's how it's supposed to be. And we're just so thankful for this community that's here. And man, it's like a real family that I've always wanted. and just I feel like we belong to something that's just way bigger than us and the family and the heritage and the legacy that we want to live. It's just we feel like we're part of like a bigger overall cause, and it's just we feel like it's the cause of Yah, which is to at the end of the day, the ancient path, right? Hearts of fathers back to their children, children back to their fathers, strong husbands, strong wives, strong marriages, teaching the children right from wrong, train them up in the way that they never depart, praising Yah, coming together. Man, the apostles knew. They knew. And I'm glad that was written down because we followed that example. And I'll never live another way unless Yahweh tells me otherwise. But it's not just limited, of course, to this physical community here. We know there's a much greater online community that just honestly just needs more accountability. It just needs more tending. It needs more elders. It needs more discipleship, because it's just got a lot of babies that are being reborn and are just tossed to and fro. A lot of good teachers out there, a lot of bad teachers out there. And it's like what happens when you listen to someone teaching the clean waters, but you also listen to someone that's fouling the waters. The water's going to be fouled, And so just pray that this movement gets healed. I don't know, maybe that's why I was just breaking down earlier. It's like, man, it's going to be healed. It's going to be healed one day. It's going to change. And so I'm just hoping that my wife's healing, if it comes, I'm not just speaking just vain, just positive words, but I believe in the healing hand of Yahweh. I believe He can heal my wife. She received, the doctors gave her a death sentence and was very proud about it. Almost like, well, if you don't take this transplant, then I didn't get sassy back. We held our peace and we just simply said, because it was like, why are you here at the hospital? Her ammonia levels got so high that she was kind of like a little delirious. And so we're not a full rejection of the hospital system. We know that there's emergencies, and we know not everyone there has evil intentions. Like, people don't wake up and be like, let's go poison the world. They're just led astray by the medical industry, right? There's a lot of good people in there. Man, there's some good. Oh, what a great divine appointment. I hope they're still coming. I ran into them 3 times at the hospital. They said they're coming to Shabbat this Saturday. So Wally and family. We just simply said, hey, we hear you what you're saying. I mean, we hear the data, but we are here to maybe for you to help us with some of the acute symptoms to stabilize her until our God, the God of Israel, answers us and hears our prayer. And that's just where we're at. So, man, we're working on a song, Victoria and I, an older song, Psalm 13. It's kind of like an answer to that. I can't play it yet. It's not done though. She'd be really mad at me if I played this current not finished version. So that's just gonna have to wait. I think that's it. So yeah, if you can continue to pray for Victoria. I'm trying to communicate better. A couple of things. If you guys didn't know, we every Saturday go live on Ancient Path Revivals. That's where we do the new moons, the Sabbath days. Also, we have a website, Ancient Path Revivals. Want to learn more about the greater ministry, Parable of the Vineyard is part of Ancient Path Revivals, which is like kind of like the parent ministry. You can find fellowship near you, Fellowship Finder, upcoming events, feast days, calendar, kind of what we do here, what we believe, all kinds of stuff. So support, we could use support. I hate that. I don't hate that part. I mean, it is the dynamic. It's the dynamic from the beginning. But, if you believe in the mission here, I need help. We need help, straight up. So we need to expand. We need more resources to continue to expand. We need more RV sites and need to build some tiny homes. We got people living in tents here. I need help. I mean, we need help. And so pray about it. I know everyone asks for money online on YouTube. You know, I wanted to stay away from that for years, but now it's just not about me and my house. And I'm not asking for me and my house. We're covered. Abba's got us well covered. I just need help for the collective here. We have a lot of employees. I think the ministry employs 20 people, 26 maybe. So labor, we need help. I don't know how else to ask. So that's me lowering my pride and not wanting to ask, but I need help. So pray about it. And hallelujah, let's pray and we'll end. Heavenly Father, Yahweh Most High, we just bless you and just thank you for your written word. Thank you for your ruach. Thank you for salvation. Thank you for the testimony of Yahusha. Thank you for your commandments, your righteousness, and just pray that the Spirit would come upon your people and the Spirit of restoration. Help us to fish. You said one by one, so every soul is precious. Even if all the efforts in the world are for one, we know it. Know it's all worth it because of what kind of price can you put on a soul? Help us to save the souls of men and to restore them back to your service and to restore the order of this world. We know that can only happen from you coming and smiting it. So we ask you to come and bring right ruling to this earth and to your people. In Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, you guys. I don't even think what song I was going to play. I can play 7 Streams. That was kind of like that. Smiting Egypt, the river, but it's a rock song, so some of you might not like it. So that's your warning. I'm going to play a rock song, a biblical rock song, based off of Isaiah 11. Much love and shalom in the name of Yahushua.
His hand